Hi guys, I'm sitting at a desk because it's the only piece of furniture I have left in my house because I'm moving. I'm here to tell you about the things that nobody told me about and the stuff that I wish I was prepared for before I moved out of my parents' house. It's the same experience for everybody and it's confusing. And I say that firmly, as if I know what everybody's experience is, with absolutely no evidence or data whatsoever. So one of the biggest things that I didn't expect when I moved out of my parents' house is how much money it is. The fact that you have to pay for laundry detergent is beyond me, because when you're growing up, it's just like, oh, there's always laundry detergent. Like there's always something to do my laundry with. But when you move out, you're like, oh, I have to buy that. And when you run out, it's gone. And the same thing with groceries, the same thing with toilet paper, the same thing with, bed sheets, hangers, toothpaste, soap, like all these things that are just there when we're kids because our parents take care of us for the most part, they're not there when you move out. And it is so much money. Like it's no wonder that parents are always stressed and talking about money and how expensive kids are, because it is so expensive. Like I would say a rough estimate, when you move out of your parents' house or you move in general and you move into a new house and you have to buy like all of the stuff to just survive, like all the basics, like pots and pans and cooking stuff and bathroom stuff and bedroom stuff and everything, like every single little thing that you have to pay for just to exist is at least $1,000. And that's on the cheap end. Like even if you're thrifting stuff, even if you're shopping at Walmart, like it costs hundreds of dollars to have a full functioning house. Yes, you can survive with just a few things and you don't have to spend $1,000, but if you're gonna have everything that usually comes with a house, like that's how much money it costs. And it's crazy, let alone the amount of money it costs to have a security deposit, to pay for rent, to pay for utilities, to pay for all that stuff that's actually necessary to like move in somewhere, to have insurance, to pay for a car, to pay for gas. Like it's so expensive. My dad was always trying to drill into my head to save money when I'm a kid. And now that I'm 21 and I've lived on my own for a while, that's like the biggest piece of advice that I could give to any 15-year-old. Like if I was talking to a teenager, I would say the fact that you don't have bills right now, the fact that you don't have to pay to exist is something that everybody takes for granted. Like every kid takes for granted. But that kind of goes along with the next thing that I didn't expect growing up and moving out, which is money takes over your life. I don't know if it's just me or if I'm more stressed than other people my age, but the second you're independent and you're on your own, it's like money takes over your entire mind. Because unfortunately, we live in a capitalist society, at least here in America we do, where money rules everything. And the more money you have, the better life you can have. And I know that that's just an accepted concept. And it's like, yeah, of course you need money to survive. Like, of course, the more money you have, the better your life will be. But think about how fucked that is. Like breaking it down to the basics, not thinking about what's normalized in, the US or society or whatever. The fact that you have to pay money to exist on a planet that you did not ask to be born on, that is the way it is now. But it still sucks. Like it's still messed up. The fact that we were not put on this earth to enjoy life, but we were put on this earth to work. I don't think that was the intended purpose. Like whether you believe in God or whatever, I don't think whoever put us on this earth to work. It's what we do now and it's what you have to do. And I know some boomers are gonna be commenting on my video like, you're being stupid. When I was 10, I had to walk uphill to school both ways. Like old people think it's so silly when young people start waking up to this realization, but like money really does take over your life and it becomes the biggest stressor. And when you don't have money, it sucks. And when you do have money, it's awesome. And the fact that that can just control everything about your mood, your relationships, your house, like where you live, what you eat for dinner, like, oh my God, I'm going off on a tangent, so let me redirect myself. But for real, like that is something I did not expect and something that I'm slowly realizing more and more every day. And it pisses me off and it upsets me and it's stressful, okay? But anyway, maybe on a lighter note, something else that people don't always warn you about when you're about to move out is the roommate situation. If you have ever been to college and like lived in a dorm, or if you've ever had roommates, you know exactly what I'm about to talk about. But if you haven't, buckle up. Buckle up because it is a ride that can either be really, really awesome or the worst ride of your entire life. Since living is expensive and rent costs a shit ton of money, it's most likely going to be too expensive and honestly kind of unsafe for you to live on your own. Like, especially as a woman, I never would have moved out by myself. I immediately moved out and wanted to find roommates. And so if you are not blessed with friends who you want to move out with, like if you somehow magically have a friend group who wants to live with you, good for you. Most people don't have that situation. Like, most people have to find strangers or acquaintances, like friends of friends, and roommates can be it can be nightmarish to have roommates, because if it's bad, it's not like it's something you can get out of. I wish more people warned me about this, because the first time I moved out on my own, let me tell you guys a little story. I moved out and I found people on Facebook to live with. Complete strangers, which isn't always even safe. Like, some people can be murderers, but on a more realistic note, I was just like, it's fine. Even if they're not a great roommate, it'll be fine. It's not a big deal. And like, I tried my best to vet people. I brought them over to the house to talk to them, to get their vibe. And like, I actually usually have a very, very, very good judge of character. Like, I have a good gut instinct, but I ignored it for some people. And I ended up with a roommate in the beginning, and she was the worst roommate ever. Like, she was so rude. She was so like needy. If something went wrong with the house, she would like freak out and be like, this is happening and the heat's not working and I can't believe this. Whereas like me and this other girl, who ended up being super nice, by the way, we were just like, it's fine. It's not a big deal. Like, we'll figure it out. But she was like flipping out about everything. And she would sing really bad, like late into the night, and she had this dog that was really weird. I just remember there were so many instances where she was like fighting with my other roommate and I had to like be the mediator. Oh my God, it was horrible. It was so bad. So then she moved out, but then I had a fourth bedroom that I had to fill in this house, and this other girl moved in. And I should have known, because she had a Snapchat filter as her Facebook profile picture. And I don't know if you guys know this, but that's kind of a red flag. I'm gonna make a video about red flags for women because I have a lot. But for me, one of my red flags for women is having a Snapchat filter as their profile picture, or an Instagram filter. I think only weird people do that. No offense if you do that, I just think weird people do, okay? So I should have known based on that, and the fact that she was like 27 years old and her parents drove her up from Florida to move her into her house. That I thought was kind of weird, but I brushed it off. I was like, whatever, it's fine. She ended up being almost even worse than the last one. She was a bitch. I don't call girls bitches, like I just don't, because I think it's kind of a rude word. But if I were to describe anyone on planet Earth as a bitch, I would describe her. I'm so sorry, but like, she was mean, she was catty, she was like the definition of a bitch, and it sucked. And so I could go on about my roommate stories, and maybe I'll make a whole like video about like horror stories, but that is something that is so important that people don't talk about. You have to find roommates most of the time, and if they're bad, it's horrible, because you can't get away from it. It's not like it's a bad friend where you can stop talking to them, you can go home, you can get away from them, like whatever. If it's in your house, it's inescapable. You can't get away from it. And you're stuck with them often because there's a lease. So you can't just kick them out or leave yourself, because you're contractually obligated to stay, and they are too. So I don't know, be really careful. If you're gonna get roommates, the ideal situation is to have close friends. And if you can't have close friends, wait until you can. Side note, friends can also be horrible roommates. So it's just tricky. Just make sure you know them really, really, really well. But even then, it can still be bad. Or if you're gonna have a stranger, hang out with them as much as you can before you live with them, and try to make sure you learn every single thing about them. And if you have any sort of gut feeling, listen to it and don't go through with it, because it's not worth it. It is not worth it to rush into a living situation just to rush into it if you're gonna have a bad roommate. Okay? And then there's also so many other things that I could talk about when it comes to moving out. I could literally talk about this for hours, but like, keeping your house clean is so hard. It's so hard to remember, to mop, to do your laundry, to like take care of the bathroom and the shower, like the baseboards, the walls. It's a lot. It's a long checklist. So cleaning is hard. Having a healthy lifestyle and eating well is really hard. Like, working out is so hard to remember. Not eating fast food every day is so hard to do when you're on your own, because it's so much easier to just, buy food, order Postmates, go to McDonald's. Like, that's so much easier than cooking, and it sucks. If you're like me and you have attention issues, then paying your bills on time is really hard. Remembering to pay your bills, paying your utilities, paying your rent. Like, even if you have the money, it's really easy to just forget. And it's also scary. Like, I don't know about you guys, but as a woman, I'm scared. And like, when my husband leaves the house, I'm so lucky I live with him. But when he leaves the house and I hear any noises, I get so scared. Like, I almost shit myself anytime I hear like a thing in the other room. I think that someone broke into the house. While it is fun and having freedom is great, like seriously, moving out on your own for the first time is the most exhilarating thing. If you're not prepared, then it makes it 100 times worse. And you know what? Maybe you've already moved out and you just relate to this. Either way, I hope that something in this video resonated with you. But yeah, guys, this is my last video in this house. This is my empty bedroom. I'm moving tomorrow, by the way. If you want to know about it, just watch my other videos. Love you guys. Goodbye.